data. Are made.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Verizon Warrior series today. My name is Chrysanthus, if you don't know me, and I will be your host for tonight. Today we're entering the qualification stage of the Verizon Warriors series after 3 training sessions over the past few weeks that I hope you already watched, and if not, we'll explain everything that is important about this tournament and why you should watch it throughout this stream. The great thing is that today is the qualification stage and the finals will actually happen on the 8th of August. Now, if you missed this tournament, what is it about? Verizon launched together with us a new World of Warships charity tournament in partnership also with Wounded Warrior Project, where teams from around the United States are actually able to compete and raise money for veterans in need. Now, what is actually here on the table? We have 100,000 US dollars that Verizon is sponsoring here, and they're going to go to 16 different charities. The great thing is about today's broadcast, the teams will be able to pick a charity they're going to fight for and increase the donation share. As you can see here right next to me, the first team will go home with 30,000 US dollars to donate to a charity of their choice. On top of that, our players already donated an amazing amount of money to Wounded Warrior Project. 20,000 US dollars have already been raised here over the last few weeks, and we're going to see where we're going to go today, because you can still donate for that cause if you think this is something you would like to support. Now, this is all part of Verizon's drive to get more to those who give the most, with special discounts to military and veterans. We're going to be providing you with links throughout this entire broadcast here in chat, where you can find all of the information. For example, there's a special offer for all Verizon customers where you can get a special bundle with the USS Arizona, the USS Albany, 4 months of premium account time, which is in total $75 of value, absolutely for free if you head to wo.ws/Verizon. So I hope that kind of explains what we're going to have today. But before we start with the actual tournament information, let me get one thing out of the way. Of course, we do have Twitch drops active here on the channel. So if you're interested in getting Twitch drops, make sure that first of all your account is linked, right? That's the bare minimum that you have to do, have an account linked. You can actually find our guide on our portal. And besides the regular Twitch drops that we have running right now, we also have a special Twitch drop for today and for the 8th of August, where you can get an additional Twitch container for watching 150 minutes of this broadcast. That's all you have to do. Then click on the claim button and it will be credited to your game directly. What's in the container? Straightforward. There's a Prime Gaming camouflage in there. We also have 100 community tokens. I hope you know this currency by now that we introduced with 10.5. It has its own tab in the armory where you can just pick whatever prize you would like to get, of course, for different amounts of community tokens and some additional signal flags. Now, I already talked a lot here, but I'm not alone. No, I also have a special guest here with me today that I never had with me on a stream before. It's actually one of our volunteer tournament organizers. Hello, Duke. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Chrysantos. I'm doing well. Hello, I'm Double O Duke. I am a volunteer tournament organizer for the North American server. I primarily work on the King of the Sea tournament, dealing with the logistics, but I also have a hand in several other tournaments on the North American server.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting job. What's your favorite thing about running a tournament like this?
My favorite thing is to see the teams compete. I like to see what strategies captains come up with, and I like to see how the fields play out. It's always fun to watch.
That's great to hear. So before we go into the format, let's run actually the trailer for this tournament so that we're on the same page, and then we'll talk about the details. So we'll see you on the other side.
Attention all U.S. World of Warships players and veterans. We come to you today with an exciting announcement. The Verizon Warrior Series is approaching. This summer, Verizon's new World of Warships charity campaign will welcome teams from across the country to show their skills on the virtual seas. And you could be part of the action. You'll be fighting for a great cause, veterans in need. A $100,000 prize pool will be donated to military charities. But that's not all. Verizon is joining forces with Wounded Warrior Project to turn every stream and match into a donation drive for injured vets. You can do your part by enlisting today or simply by tuning in on Twitch. Those who make the cut will be enlisted in exclusive training sessions. Then they'll face off in a series of high-stakes battles. Ships will be sunk, heroes will rise, and in the end, one team will be crowned champions. It's all part of Verizon's drive to give more to those who give the most, including special discounts to military and veteran families. Don't hesitate. Join the cause. Sign up for the Verizon Warrior Series today.
Today, we are in the qualification stage, and some of you might not know what the format of this tournament is, so let's talk a little bit about this. Duke, what kind of format are we running in this tournament?
Well, the Verizon Warrior Series runs with teams of 7 and Tier 8 ships. Each team has the choice to either bring 2 battleships or 1 aircraft carrier and 1 battleship, and they can fill the rest of the team with as many destroyers or cruisers as they like.
So that means that if one team would bring an aircraft carrier and a battleship, the other team would still have the choice to say, we don't want to bring, for example, an aircraft carrier, we want to bring 2 battleships, right?
Correct. They still have that choice.
Okay, and as we can see here, teams are also able to ban ships. Now, how does that work for teams?
So each team is allowed to ban 2 ships, and it's for the entire series. So before the series starts, each team will have selected the ships to be banned, and they will stay that way through the whole series.
Great. Now, in general, guys, all of the teams that you will see today are actually from the North American server. And the great thing about the team composition is that 50% of the team members of each of the teams are actual veterans participating in this tournament. So it's going to be a great mix of players, and I'm really curious to see the action we're going to have here in the game and see what these teams were able to do together. Because over the last few weeks, we ran several different training sessions for people who wanted to sign up for this tournament to be able to get an idea of like, okay, what kind of strategies might be very helpful in winning in battles. And I'm sure all of them want to get to the top of this tournament, right?
I'm sure. That is a very generous donation to their charity of choice.
Yes. We're still waiting for our 2 casters to actually join us here, but we are not going to be alone today. We're going to be joined by Lord Seth and Sea Raptor. They will be here in 1 or 2 minutes to be able to talk to us about the tournament that they're going to be participating in. The schedule, just that you guys don't forget, today is the qualification stage, and Mr. Conway can maybe bring it up. We're going to be in the stage of best of 32. So the first match we're going to see is Celts versus IFHE. We will then have a nice interview with somebody from Wounded Warrior Project to be able to talk a little bit about what makes that program special and why we're running here a donation drive for this. And then we're going to go back into the round of 32, and then you have a chance to actually showcase how much you know about naval history in a short trivia that we're going to run. Before it, we head into the round of 16 for today. At the end of this broadcast, the teams will be able to actually pick which organization they want to support, which they want to fight for, right? And then we'll be able to show this to you at the end of the stream, because that's going to be very important for the final part of this tournament, right, on the 8th of August, where they're going to fight for which organization is going to get the lion's share of this donation. Now, I see that our casters are now with us, so let's bring in Sea Raptor and Lord Seth, two of the, I would say, oldest veterans, not in terms of age, but in experience for broadcasting tournaments. So let's bring them in and say hello to them. Hi, guys. How are you doing today?
How's it going? Doing all right.
Sea Raptor,
I feel so
see-
young now. Thanks, Chrysanthos, for that introduction.
Look, we're all old here, but I have to say I'm quite impressed. Duke managed to outplay Raptor in terms of style here, bringing the tie. See, Raptor,
Did
you will
indeed.
have to up the game here.
It did indeed. I asked him before the stream started. I was like, "Wait a minute, did you carried that all the way to Europe just for this?" He was like, "Yeah, I did." I was like, "Man, I am ashamed now. I am." But it's funny, right? Because I had this conversation with Stats back when we did the last International King of the Sea, and we talked about it, and it was like, yeah, but when you're only going to spend 8 minutes on camera out of 5 hours or whatever, it feels kind of overrated. so but kudos, Duke, you look awesome, looking good today.
Thank you, Raptor. I learned from the best.
Yeah, so Raptor, for those who don't know you, who are you, and where can they actually find you?
Okay, sure. My name is Sea Raptor. On Twitch, you'll find me as Sea Raptor with a couple of zeros on the end. Just because once upon a time that was my Warships handle. It got changed later on. I also have a YouTube channel under the same name, just straight up plain old Sea Raptor. I got into this whole streaming casting gig specifically to do tournament coverage way back. Gosh, it's been almost 4 years now. Back with the old Warship Supremacy League here on the NA server. And then Zath and I started doing King of the Sea together way back in King of the Sea 5, which has been more than 3.5 years. And then we have stayed together doing, gosh, I remember adding it all up. I think we've done like 250 or 280 games of King of the Sea now or something like this. So we have a lot of tournament experience together. We like doing this stuff. It's a lot of fun. And you guys keep inviting us back. So, gosh, I'm sure we'll keep coming up.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And with us here, we also have Lord Seth.
Yep, so my channel is twitch.tv/Lord Zath, and I run a replay theater where we take a look at anybody's game, basically, talk about what went down, good plays, bad plays, opportunities for improvement, things to do, keep going, and it's a lot of fun watching players grow and just enjoy hanging out. We've been doing this for 3 years now, so that's a lot of fun. And as Raptor said, we've been doing King of the Sea and competitive for such a long time now that we pretty much know what each other's thinking at this point, and it's just a lot of fun to get to hang out with them again.
Living already in each other's heads. I see. So you talked already about King of the Sea. What makes this tournament different to King of the Sea for you? What stands out?
Zath, you go first.
Thanks. So, to me, it's the fact that there's a draft behind this, right? That players are drafted into the teams. Tells me that it's not going to be, one or two key teams that everybody's just going to expect to just kind of, walk their way to the finish or something like that. It's going to be a much more competitive environment. So I think, to me, that's one of the big things I'm really looking forward to seeing in this tournament.
For me, it's the tier choice. King of the Sea has been tier 10 for as long as I can remember. But when we did the last Verizon Warriors Championship or something like that, I forget what it was called, back in December, that was all at tier 8. And we're back at tier 8 again here today. And I think tier 8 is an amazingly good tier for competitive warships these days. There was a stretch where it could be argued that wasn't necessarily the case. But I think the tournament that we had at the end of last year really showcased and really opened up a lot of people's eyes to the fact that tier 8 is just the diversity of ships, carriers or not, just the amount, like there's like 30 tier 8 cruisers now almost in World of Warships. That's just cruisers. We haven't even talked about all the different mix and matchable between, destroyers and battleships and everything else. Tier 8 has almost something to offer any team and any strategy, any crazy idea you can conceive of. For a map strategy, you can probably find a ship composition that works for you at tier 8. And I think it's going to make for some really interesting gameplay. We saw a lot of that last December, and I'm looking forward to more of it today.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the tier change is huge. And then to go along with that, we saw a little bit of the impact of that tier change when we were doing the training sessions prior.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're absolutely looking forward to the matches later on today. And all of these matches will be brought to you by Sea Raptor and Lord Seth. So they will do the commentating for you. So you have something to look forward to. We'll now send them back into the void so they get to actually prepare for these matches, because it takes a lot, right, to be prepared and have all of the information. So thank you guys, and we will see you later on in the broadcast.
All right, see you.
Sounds good. See ya.
Yeah, wow, Duke, that sounds already very interesting for me. Like, I usually also do mostly tournaments with everything is happening on tier 10 today. It's going to be on tier 8, as with the Verizon Warrior Championship that we had before. What stands out for you the most when a tournament is on a different tier?
You know, I really think Zath nailed it when he talked about the team compositions. Because of the way the teams were created, we should have a much more competitive event. We should have very evenly matched teams, which should prove to be very interesting in these games. I also love the idea behind the tournament of, you know, being a charity stream and, you know, ensuring that we have high veteran participation and really making this about those who give the most.
Absolutely, absolutely. So please keep in mind, guys, today's tournament is running without any delay. So we have the best possible interaction with you. If you guys have any questions, comments, feel free to just drop them in chat. We'll try to answer as much as we can. If something is unclear, just drop it in here. And yeah, as we talked about earlier, right? This is not King of the Sea, where clans are preparing for weeks and weeks and weeks to be able to fight the most competitive teams they already know from, for example, clan battles, right? No, but these are teams that were drafted. Half of the players are actual veterans. They were just thrown into basically one pot with other players, and then they had to figure out how to play together to be able to be in this tournament and to get as far as possible. So I'm really curious to see what kind of ship compositions we will have, what kind of strategies all of these teams will be playing. And also the map pool is actually quite small. If we can bring this up, we have 5 maps for you today that the teams can pick from, and they can, of course, also ban one. So this is going to be very interesting to see. And the first matchup that we're going to have is Kels versus IFHE. In terms of the ship bans, how does that work? How do from a like, because you're part of the organizing team, right? How does that work from like an organizational point of view to have so many different teams submitting their bans, and how do you keep order in all of this?
It can be very, very difficult, but we have some tools that are able to help us, and of course we have really excellent referees and staff who go out of their way to make sure that everything runs as smoothly as possible.
Yeah, big shout out to everybody who's helping running these tournaments, be it Verizon Warrior Series or all of the other tournaments that are out there in the community. This is always done by community guys, sacrificing their own free time to be able to bring this to you. So if you see them, give them a big pat on the back for contributing their free time to create this really, really cool event and other events. I saw a question here about whether teams can actually pick premium ships. Is there any kind of restriction of what kind of ships teams would be able to bring here?
No, there are no restrictions on premium ships as long as you don't bring a banned ship and you meet the format requirements. Of course, either 2 BBs or 1 aircraft carrier and 1 battleship, then you're good to go.
If I may tune in. Good evening, by the way. Mr. Conway here. Voice from the off. All players, because we wanted to make this as inclusive as possible, have been given press accounts. So all players have a full, every ship available. So there was no need to make that kind of limitation.
Thank you. Mr. Conway is actually pushing all of the magical buttons in the background. So if anything goes wrong, you can just put hashtag blame Conway in chat, and he will do his very best to fix whatever issue we might be facing. Of course, the toast is in chat. I think after the longest night of museums, the toasters will be part of our chat forever. And we will have actually, as a reward for the donations, if we get more donations even for the Wounded Warrior project, I think we will be handing out 1 toaster in a raffle to all of the participants. If you want to contribute, you can actually do this. We will be running the whole donation throughout the stream until the end of this tournament. So if you feel like, hey, this is a cause you would like to support, you can still do this. We already smashed all of the milestones we set up before, so we didn't set up a new milestone. And Conway's jumping in.
Can I just point out that the toaster is going to be signed by JLS?
Perfect, perfect. So even signed by Jay Ellis. I hope you already saw him on our last broadcast, and he will be also featuring in some of the videos that we have prepared for you today. Good. In terms of the ship bans that we talked about, we actually see here Tone, Kaga, Edinburgh, and Kit as bans. Is the Tone for you a surprising ban?
No, that's not surprising at all to me. Tony is a very powerful ship at tier 8, especially for competitive modes. Because it's a cruiser, it doesn't take up a reserved slot like a BB or an aircraft carrier. But like aircraft carriers, because it has the ability to launch torpedo bombers, it can actually use those to spot enemy ships, and that can bring a huge advantage to your team.
Great. Yeah, for me, it was very interesting to see like how teams will handle a hybrid ship because exactly of that aspect. Would you expect if Tone is not banned by some team that a team would just try to run like a basically CV plus 6 Tone setup?
I don't know if I would pick that many Tones because you will sacrifice in a lot of your other utility, but you would definitely see 1 or 2 probably, just because that spotting power is very, very advantageous.
Yes, that's definitely true. So yeah, in terms of maps, we do have North, which was picked by Celts. We have Northern Waters picked by AFHG, and then Crash Zone Alpha, which is the random map, right? Just to keep it fair in terms of that none of the teams have an advantage by picking the last map. This one is always randomized, and now we're just waiting for the teams to ready up. In general, in case it happens, I always just want to give you the full picture, right? How these matches are actually built. We're running this tournament in a training room. So teams are now in the background actually setting up their teams, readying up. And then once everybody's in, including our casters, the match will be started. And if we run into a technical issue, the teams have a chance to restart the match. Yeah, but what do you expect from the first map of North?
On North, well, with the triangular cap layout on North, what you'll probably see is a few kiting ships set up around AB. Some teams do like to have a hard push on AB. And looking at the bans for this match, which are Edinburgh, Kid, Tone, and Kaga, that leaves a ship like Vladivostok still on the table. And with a ship like Vladivostok, or Lenin for that matter, you can actually set up a pretty formidable pushing strategy. So it could be possible that one of these teams takes a strategy where they look for an AB push with one of those heavy and tanky Russian battleships. But otherwise, I think we're going to see a lot of action around the sea cap. At least both teams will probably set up at least one radar ship on the sea cap, and then they'll most likely have a DD look to contest the sea cap.
Are there any ships you would expect in terms of like a cruiser setup besides radars? Anything that has been very popular already in the training sessions?
From the cruiser perspective, I think you're most likely to see ships maybe like a Bayard. Cleveland will probably be a very powerful radar ship at this tier. And similar ships to those, you'll look for a few different kiting ships and some ships that are able to lock down sectors.
Yeah, in general, like that's something I love about Tier 8 tournaments. There's a lot of variety, as C-Raptor said, right? In terms of ship choice, a lot of different ships, be it tech tree or premium ships. Any ship can be fielded here except for the ones that were banned by the teams. And we will have to see how teams will try to find a balance between what if the enemy team is bringing an aircraft carrier, which is very, very likely because they want to go for the spotting, right, to be able to adjust their strategy. If you're pretty new in terms of like competitive gameplay, why would most teams actually pick an aircraft carrier over a double battleship setup? And where would they rather bring a double battleship setup?
So aircraft carriers are very, very powerful ships on your team because they have a huge influence in the game in terms of spotting. The aircraft carrier squadrons can move around the map very, very quickly, and they can do so somewhat indiscriminately. The aircraft carrier itself doesn't have to risk its ship in order to apply spotting advantages. So being able to get the positions of enemy ships is the biggest advantage of having an aircraft carrier. In addition to that, the aircraft carrier is able to target ships, which otherwise would be very difficult to target from other surface ships. When it comes to running a double BB setup, it is a possible strategy. It takes a lot of commitment from the teams. If you're taking a battleship instead of the aircraft carrier, then you really need to look to apply pressure with those battleships. If you don't create an advantage early to mid game with those battleships, then you're probably going to get worn out by the aircraft carrier.
Yeah, exactly. I think we will see probably a lot of aircraft carriers here just to have that spotting advantage. It makes such a huge difference, and I do see that our prediction is live. So if you want to participate in this, feel free to just be part of it, and we will try to give you more predictions throughout the stream where you can just participate and have a little bit of interaction with us. The teams are now readying up. We're going to be probably jumping into the battle any minute. One thing we do differently today compared to, for example, King of the Sea is actually the way we're going to broadcast the matches. We will have a different point of views within the tournament in the actual gameplay. So it's not just like, for example, Sea Raptor or Lord of Seth controlling the camera, but actually it's going to be very different angles. So please let us know how you feel about this style of broadcasting and what you would like to see in terms of improvements, because it's something we just wanted to try and see whether this can give you a better viewing experience in general. Now, I do see that the teams are starting. Duke, what's your pick? Who's going to win the first one? Is it Celts or IFAG?
Well, that's a really good question. Looking at the results of previous matches going into this, you have to favor Celts. They're the higher seed going in. They went 4-2 in the qualifying or the training matches before this last weekend, and IFHE went 2-4 in those matches. But I do think IFHE has several experienced players that I recognize from King of the Sea on their team, and so they definitely stand a fighting chance. And as we iterated, these teams should be fairly even matched. So if I have to pick one, I think I'm going to pick IFHE.
Okay, well, I love IFAG because of the name, and then we'll hand it over to Lord Seth and Sea Raptor. Enjoy the match.